This is NBA Talk. I'm Erik Torenberg, joined by special guest Dan Barto, Head of Player Development at IMG Academy, along with my co-hosts Reuben Torenberg and Frack. Let's dive in.
How we doing?
What's going on, boys?
Let's get into it.
We are back.
Rocking.
I think the Pacers are the Hawks of a few years ago, the team that got lucky going to the Eastern Conference Finals. I know Dan's high on them, but I think it was a bit of a fluke. I think they're going to get the 6th seed again this year. I think Halliburton's a bit overrated. I know I'm coming in with a lot of hate just to start off our podcast, but I think the East got better, Knicks got better, Sixers got better, and I don't see that kind of growth from the Pacers just yet. Do you guys think they're higher than a 6th seed coming in this year, or what do you think about them this offseason? I'll give them a C in the offseason.
What did they do? They just re-signed all their guys, right? I saw Nembhard signed today, 3 for $59. Obi Toppin re-signed. Siakam got the max.
McConnell.
Anything else? McConnell. He got re-signed?
McConnell's still pending, but they swapped out Jalen Smith and took James Wiseman.
Okay.
So
championship. What do you think, Dan? I'd love to hear from you.
Well, what they have going for them is organizational stability, coaching stability, pace of play, which I think people will catch up to a little bit. A little bit more Pascal Siakam integrated into the system, and Rick Carlisle's diabolical scheming of quick hitters. So, you know, the you can't nullify anything that Erik said about the East obviously being beat up in the playoffs and then also improving in pretty much, 6 or 7 areas. But I think there's something to be said. Like they were the first to kind of commit to this type of plan with tempo and hierarchy. And again, organizational alignment wins more than talent when you talk about the course of the regular season. And they had some luck in the playoffs this year. And again, they have trade pieces. So, I'll give them a B based on those things.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit more positive in my view of them going forward, Erik, than you are. One, I guess on top of just organizational stability and bringing everyone back and just general, knowing how to play together and continuing to learn how to play together. Most of these dudes are really young. Halliburton, Nembhard, a few names we didn't mention here, but Ben Shepherd. Saw a couple of sightings of him in the playoffs. Dan's boy, Jarris Walker, killing it in Summer League. I think all these dudes are going to come back a little bit better. And we kind of forget, but Halliburton had that nasty hamstring injury where he almost did a full split on the ground and was never really the same guy until that Knicks series. And then even after that, he hurt his hammy again shortly after. That is very much a touch-and-go injury, and I'm excited to see what a full season of the Pacers looks like with him healthy, which I guess is a little bit of a wild card because he's a skinny, frail dude. But I'm definitely much higher than you are, Erik, and I think they're going to be right in the thick of it with the Knicks, Celts, Sixers. I'd put them, if not 4th, maybe 5th, right behind the Bucks.
Do you think they're better than the Cavs and the Magic?
Yeah. Yeah. I like Turner, too. I think he's a stud.
There's only a handful of teams in this league, like 3 or 4, that are as deep as the Pacers. And like the Mavs, I think, are another one. Maybe the Pelicans. And I think they should consolidate. Like, I think, trade Ben Shepherd and Mathurin or like trade.
Oh, we didn't even mention Mathurin.
Exactly.
He's
right?
a beast.
Yeah, trade 2 or 3 of these guys and get a star, and you're still like 10 deep,
But you don't really know you have yet in these guys. Like, Shepherd was a rookie, and he played well. Mathurin's a second-year player. He's 20 years old. I hear you. I think there is some consolidating that could be done that would help the team just because there's only so many minutes to go around. But at some point, you got to see what you have, right? Like, maybe – what about Nesmith? Do you trade him? He's also super young.
I look at a team that has just they're not competing for a championship right now. And you could say, hey, maybe they're like the Thunder. They play it slow. They just keep growing. That's possible. I also think you could make a trade where it's like 2 or 3 players for a Lauri Markkanen or something. You get a star, and then maybe you are competing for a championship. And you still have a lot of young talent. And like I would look for players that other teams value as much as the Pacers value. So Nembhard and Nesmith, I mean, they have high market value right now. And maybe Ben Shepherd is like, if he starts, maybe he could replace an Nembhard, like not that, or Mathurin, like he's set out in the playoffs, so he doesn't have as high market value. But like some of those players are gonna like they can't have a 12-man rotation. Like there's not enough go around.
Completely agree.
All those guys are good. So I think. I mean, Dan, what do you think about the strategy?
Your points are all valid. I think, we talked a little bit about the Magic too, like the infighting for playing time creates a little bit of a culture if Carlisle can handle it that's healthy. I mean, I don't think you want to play them November, December, January. Like they're a tough out every single night with that type of depth. But if you said, hey, they're playing Philadelphia or the Knicks or the Celtics in the first round, I don't think any of us are betting against those other teams. So I agree with you, Erik, that they, if they acquired Lauri Markkanen or Brandon Ingram or they made a aggressive trade, they could be a team that wins 63 games and, loses in the first round, on paper. But again, with the way that some of these organizations are building like them, they, just like you said, they could be the Atlanta Hawks, like you mentioned, or they could be San Antonio and be in the finals for the next 3 years as well. Like that's whether that's one move or whether that's just the organizational stability and long-term planning that they've done. I just know no one's going to want to travel to Indiana all regular season, and no one's going to want to have to play at their pace on a back-to-back either. And that's a little bit of a psychological advantage. So it'll be fun to see how it all plays out.
Yeah,
they definitely got a lot of dudes.
Let's transition to let's do Clippers and Lakers at the same time because I feel like they're in a similar position.
What?
I give them both probably a C. I'm coming in harsh today, but I think Clippers are really tough territory. I feel like they should blow it up and trade Kawhi for as many picks as they can get. Maybe it's only 3 or 4 at this point, but it's not going to get any higher. I think at his age, Harden too. Maybe you get a couple. But I just don't. They don't have a lot of picks right now. Right? I think they don't pick till 2030 or something.
Yeah, they got no picks.
And they're a 7 seed, 6 seed. Like they were 4 seed. With Paul George and lost the first round. So if they're not competing for a championship and they don't have assets to trade to compete for a championship, unless there's something I'm missing there, they can't compete. But I would either compete or blow it up. And if you're the Lakers, I don't think you can blow it up if you have LeBron James on the team. So I would just try to do a Hail Mary and do another trade for some player that can help you compete. And realistically, you'd probably be lucky if you get the 5 or 6 seed if you're the Lakers and hope to make a run in the playoffs. But
what's that trade? Who would you want them to target, and who would you want them to get rid of? I assume D'Angelo Russell.
I don't know if teams value D'Angelo Russell. Who do teams value? Austin Reeves, maybe?
Austin Reeves.
I think Ichimura, Austin Reeves. I mean, I think they all have value on teams' second units or as somebody's 5th starter. There's even swaps out there for sure. I mean, I just don't know who balances them out. Maybe a Tyler Hero or a Darius Garland type. Those are the types of things I think you have to look at. They have a pick that they can dangle for next year too.
They need some more outside shooting, right? Or what do we think they need?
They got my man Dalton Connect.
I think you have to see how LeBron and AD are doing, and then you figure out what you need. Obviously, they have not made the right choices in the offseason or in the midseason trades and acquisitions to build around what they have. So, maybe JJ can bring some insight to that as well. And again, I think if you go back to the Clippers a little bit, it's the same thing. Like, yeah, you subtract out Paul George, but I think their second unit got better, and now they have a lot of tradable pieces that people may want in some moves that could be made. That who's going to play off of Harden and Kawhi if he's healthy, or does Kawhi end up in the Lonzo Ball situation, miss the whole year injured, and they get a $13 million, $15 million injury exemption that they can then go in and absorb another star for a year.
Yeah. Who'd they pick up? They got Derek Jones Jr.
Yeah, they got the Batum.
Kevin Porter. They got Batum. They got Kevin Porter Jr.
Chris Dunn.
Chris Dunn.
So their second unit, which struggled and put the pressure on the minutes of a lot of their stars, definitely improved, and I think their hierarchy improved. And Ty Lue is obviously the coach of the next couple years for them. So again, I mean, if Harden's done his summer regen and comes in at his fighting weight, and Kawhi's done his summer regen and comes in with two legs, maybe the 2-star system and Russ is gone, and maybe the 2-star system is better. I mean, I think we saw with Embiid and Maxey, the 2-star system is the way to go. We've talked about how that creates better flow offensively, better substitution patterns, better defensive efforts, and this year is going to test it.
Yeah, and we saw it go wrong with Phoenix. But that's a different combo, which I'm sure we'll get to. I guess I'll go Clippers, like D. Losing Paul George is just a really tough situation, no matter how you slice it. And the fact that they gave the same offer to Kawhi, but wouldn't include or had to fight to get there, and then wouldn't include the the no trade clause. It just is an ugly look. But I like what they did to kind of get out of it. I like the Derek Jones Jr. pickup. I like the Chris Dunn pickup. I think they're going to be frisky. They still have good players. Zubac is still a good player. Terrence Mann is still a good player. They got some young dudes who still play well. Terrence Mann's not really spoken of. We saw a little bit of Amir Coffey, Brandon Boston. They still have Norm Powell. They got this dude in Summer League who's been crushing it from Miami, Jordan Miller. He was so good at Miami. So who knows? Maybe a little bit of Bones Highland. Maybe a little bit of these young dudes will just, input some life into the team. And if Harden and Kawhi are playing well consistently and can stay healthy, which is the biggest if in the game, I think they'll still compete. But Erik, to your point, I don't think this is a championship squad by any measure. I just don't think that they're in a position to be able to blow it up, especially opening up a new stadium and, with Ballmer, Lawrence Frank. They're just not the type of team who does that. And by the way, if you blow it up, you're probably losing Ty Lue as well.
Yeah, I'm going C and C. They just neither did enough to excite anybody. But there is something to be said about addition by subtraction, and then making your moves as the season kind of plays out, and being healthy. Both teams struggled with some health stuff. The Lakers more so in their second unit,
yep,
and the Clippers more so with their stars. But again, it's sad to see Russ go.
Yeah, I liked him. And one last note on the Lakers. Also, some young dudes who maybe this year they start to play a little more and start to take a little leap. We saw last year their first round pick, Jalen Hood-Schifino, was a stud at Indiana. Didn't see him play at all. Max Christie came in and played some valuable minutes towards the end of the season. Pretty much didn't see him at all in the playoffs. I want to see if these young dudes start to make the rotation. They lost Dinwiddie. They lost Taurean Prince. Who knows what Gabe Vincent is? He might have fooled all of us on the Heat. So I'm not ready to throw in the towel with the Lakers by any means just yet. And I think that the West was so close last year that those who fell to the bottom are kind of perceived as just zero chance they can contend. But, a couple balls go in a different direction, and, that series isn't 4-zip. It's 4-2 or 4-3. And I think there's a very different outlook on the Lakers. Or 4-1, right? It ended up being 4-1.
If we're getting into Brandon Boston and guys in Summer League and Max Christie, I feel like we're digging at the bottom of
the next gen is coming, dude. These guys are good.
You're mentioning 13th men on
They were 13th men a few years ago, and they were 20.
Yeah, Yeah.
But now they're 22, 23, 24. These guys are going to get time. You'll see.
Yep. I think either of them would be lucky to be a 6th seed in the West this season.
We'll see.
Memphis Grizzlies, I also kind of give a C. I mean, did they even do much? I honestly, one thing I really appreciated, maybe I over-index on this, but Dylan Brooks is a winner. Like, I think that was a big loss for that. Obviously he had a terrible playoff run, though he really went for it. By terrible, I mean he looked really bad. Talking all that trash, but he's a fighter, and Memphis was a number 2 seed, and a lot of that, of course, had to do with Ja Morant and him not being there. But I think Brooks is a big winner in the heart of the soul of that team. And even with Ja back this year, I also think they'd be lucky to be a 6th seed. They have some good young guys, and they have Marcus Smart, and he's got a lot of heart too. We just haven't seen him, really step up and be a leader on that team just yet.
Well, he was hurt. He was hurt the whole year.
Yeah. And so we'll see if they can put it together this season. I'm dubious, but yeah.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
I'll go complete 180 on you. A-. I think there's going to be so much addition by injury subtraction last year that this team's going to be a top 4 seed in the West. Ja's back, Smart's back. I love the Edey pickup. They still have Jaren Jackson. Bane was hurt for like most of last season. And they've got good players. Brandon Clark was hurt most of last season. Some of these dudes who were like you didn't even hear of before last season started to play really well. They've got this guy Vince Williams Jr. who's like locked down. He's good. GG Jackson, the youngest dude in the league, he's also good.
Top 4 seed. Are they better than the Mavs, the Thunder, the Nuggets, and the Timberwolves?
They're right there with all 4 of those teams, I think.
Okay. Well, if you want to bet some money, we can do that.
Well, think about the starting lineup. It's Ja, Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., Edey, Edey.
You can rationalize all those. You're not going to. You probably wouldn't bet $100 that they're going to be a 4 seed in the West, would you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. $100. We got it on. We got it on there. I tricked him into it.
Done.
We baited him.
Done.
We'll do $10,000 if you want, man.
No. Come on. $100.
Those are bad odds.
I'll take it.
All right. Sounds good. Okay. Dan, what's your take?
I mean, Ja Morant is a Marvel superhero, right? Like when good focused Ja Morant is a top 5 player in the league.
Yep.
And unguardable in transition. They have probably maybe the best defensive 3 guys when Bane, Jackson, and Brandon Clark are locked in defensively as far as star-stopping positions. So they're going to be a tough out. I agree with Erik to the point that they're probably not beating Dallas or Minnesota or Denver in a 7-game series unless they have home court advantage. And I think they're going to do some interesting stuff with Edey. One thing that concerns me, total overhaul. I mean, they fired every assistant coach, every player development person, every sports performance person. You don't see that too often. Kept what's the coach's name?
Taylor Jenkins.
But it was a wholesale change, and that's a lot to try to put together. But I'm going to lean more towards organizationally that they were a C, because that if you have to make that much change, that means something's wrong. However, this is a team that was the 2 seed a very short time ago and can defend superstars. And there's just not a lot of those in the league. So if they're healthy and they're clicking and things are going well, they could make some noise and be in that 3, 4, 5 seed area, in my opinion. But the stars would need to align a little bit, and we would need the best version of Ja Morant.
Yeah. Let's do the Heat and the Bucks together. I will give the Heat a C. I just didn't see them get better this offseason. a lot of other teams did. I think Heat's looking at a 7 or 8 seed in the East if they're lucky, maybe. I think I don't know what you do with Jimmy. Like I think you got to kind of make a decision. Either you get a lot better, or you sort of blow it up. And I just don't know if there's any more players that they can turn into the next, Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Jovic or whatever his name is. He's pretty good. I don't know if the Rozier trade really makes sense given his salary and injury proneness and just kind of the way he plays. I just don't know if they have a winning team this season. And the Bucks probably like a B minus or something. I saw they had a couple pickups, but I don't know if they have the depth or sort of overall complete team to crack into the top 3. I think last year they were right with Boston, and this year I think they're closer to the Magic and the Cavs than they are to the Celtics, Knicks, and Sixers, in my humble opinion. Dan, what's your take?
Miami probably grade wise C plus. I'll give Milwaukee same B minus. Both teams are just uniquely built, a lot of redundancy in some positions. With Miami, I do believe that, Bam might be in the top 10 potential top 10 player in the league moving into the next year if his role continues to expand. I think one guy we didn't mention was Jaime Jaquez is an emerging star, potentially an all-league player. Regardless of who they move, whether it's Tyler Hero or Jimmy Butler or a combination of Rozier and some bench players, again, organizational stability. Like whoever's not in line will probably not be there for the second part of the year, and whoever is there, if they're in contention and healthy, then you don't want to play them. For Milwaukee, geez, it's just such a unique roster with Dame and Giannis and everybody that's built around. They probably got better. Their bench got better. They got healthier. You're going to get a full year of Chris Middleton will be a difference maker. And Doc's crazy enough that he can motivate these guys for 1 year. And I think making moves just to make moves when you weren't healthy doesn't make sense for either of these teams. But they're hard to get excited for. Like it's hard. I'd love to see if their season tickets are down and how many people are going to games in November, because it's just not exciting.
Yeah. Heat, I'm going to give him a D. I think losing Caleb Martin is just a terrible situation in the way in which it happened. I thought he was a really good player. And similarly, I see a lot of redundancy on this team. I think Butler is proven himself to be an amazing player who just can't stay on the court. And I think that his style of play is a little, and maybe this is kind of anti or just contrarian, but I love his hustle. I love his grit. I think when he gets the ball, it becomes a little bit black hole-ish, and he takes tough shots. He's got his pet moves that really work, but he's kind of a ball stopper. And I'd love to see him get traded and, pick up a bunch of young pieces and see the roles of other players like Jaquez, Adebayo, and even Rozier as an offensive player expand. I like Rozier, but he barely played last year because he was hurt. So yeah, I don't really even see them as a playoff team. They're probably a play-in team. And I'm curious to see what they do. You can't blow it up all the way because one, the Heat don't do that. And two, you still have Adebayo, and a bunch of other good pieces. For the Bucks, I give them a B minus. I like the Gary Trent pickup. I think DeLon Wright's okay. And last year was a weird year. Giannis got hurt when it mattered most. Dame was like going through a divorce. They switched coaches. They tried to play a totally different style of defense where they were like pressing every screen and then went back into the drop after 2 weeks. I want to see what a full season looks like, but to both your points, I don't think that this is a championship roster. And I think that there's 3 other teams in the East that are definitely better.
They both these teams get my vote though for if they were to do NBA Hard Knocks. these would be two tremendous teams to follow.
Yeah.
Agreed. You have to think that's coming.
Let's do T-Wolves and Pelicans. Reuben, what you want to take a first stab?
Sure. T-Wolves, I give a B+. I love the Rob Dillingham pickup. Everything else, they pretty much ran it back. I think they got rid of Kyle Anderson, and they picked up Rob Dillingham, and there's this other rookie that I love to watch out for, Terrence Shannon. I think he's a killer, and he is such a bucket. I watched him in college. The guy cannot be stopped. And so I'm really excited to watch them bring it back, a little more of an offensive young boost, and bring everyone else back and keep the same amazing defense and continue that continuity. I think they're going to be a major force. And then the other team was the Pelicans. Maybe contrarian bet too, but I don't think that DeJounte Murray is moving the needle. I think they're a really good team, but I just don't think that he is an appropriate fit for what they do, because he's a guy who likes to have the ball in his hands, and I think this team at their best needs to give Zion the ball. So I want to see if they're going to pull any other moves during this season, maybe a blockbuster Ingram trade to get, a couple more really strong role players or really strong defenders, but they're super deep. They're not a team you want to go up against. They still have really great defenders. They still have Herb Jones and Trey Murphy, who I really like. And so let's see what happens.
Dan, what's you?
Minnesota, I give Minnesota an A because they didn't change anything. They obviously overachieved last year, didn't overreact. They have the ownership stuff going on and the GM, director of basketball, president of basketball stuff going on. But I think Finch has been amazing with his coaching moves. I agree. I think Dillingham gives them that spark. You keep Conley happy. Conley can bring Dillingham along. Terrence Shannon Jr. was drafted way too low, whether that was his off-court stuff or being a little bit older. It's unfortunate. He's an IMG kind of alumni. He spent a year here. He was an amazing worker. It was amazing to watch him grow here, watch him grow over the last 5 years. So really rooting for him. And I think with New Orleans, I think you probably look at a B. Again, turnover. Trajan Langdon left the front office. Vacilunas, they really don't have anybody front line wise that's I think Tease and Yves Messi are going to be two of your main pieces. I don't know if that's ready to compete with Jokic and Gobert and Anthony Davis. So it's tough to see. But they have the pieces with Ingram and Zion, superstar ability. That it'll be the team to keep your eye on. If they could be 40-20 or they could be 20-40 going into March. One last point on Anthony Edwards, though. I mean, Anthony Edwards has just emerged, and it's just crazy to watch. And he seems like he's really done everything the right way. And these pre-Olympic games and hopefully these Olympic games continue to shine him in a very positive face for the league. And it's interesting, like when I was talking to my mother, and she's in her 70s, and we talked about her garden club responsibilities, season 2 of Joe Pickett on Paramount Plus, and then she wanted to talk about Anthony Edwards. So like that just shows you where
it's amazing
where everything is going, and I just had to point that out because like it's fun to see like that happen for young players.
What do you think, Erik?
I think T-Wolves like A-. I love the Dillingham pickup. I think they need a better point guard. Conley's a total veteran and a pro, but obviously not a long-term solution with that roster or with his age. So maybe it's Dillingham. I would love another scorer alongside Edward, like a Darius Garland type. Floor general could also put the ball in the bucket. I like Jaden McDaniels. I like their defense with Gobert and Cat. That's an interesting matchup. But I think Edwards is, my contrarian take, I think he's slightly overrated. I think he's not a top 5 or a top 10 player. I think he's like a top 15, top 20. But I guess, obviously I'm a homer here. I don't think he's quite Jalen Brunson level. Just give me the ball and I will like run the whole offense for the whole game at the same level, at the same stage. Now, that said, he just got to the Western Conference Finals. Or was it Western Conference Finals?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and Jalen didn't. So, that's it. I'm obviously, Edwards is one of one charisma, and I'm a huge fan of him personally. And, I'm just nitpicking on the edges here. I don't think two Wolves are ready for a championship, but I think they could get there. With this, with one or two moves or something, or 1 or 2 years, or maybe Edwards does, turn from a top 15 to a top 5. Like make the leap that someone like a Tatum or something has made. And then I think on the Pelicans, I like the Murray pickup, but I think they got to get rid of Ingram. I think. And maybe another homer pick, trade Ingram for Mitch Robinson or something. I don't know if Knicks want Ingram, but or get a Capella, or get a body. Get somebody who can and don't overpay. They got 3 forwards who are really the Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, and Ingram should all be starting. I think so. Got to make a trade there, but I think Pelicans are a playoff team though. If they're 2040, I think they're really underachieving. If they're not a playoff team, I think they're really underachieving, and got to look hard at their roster.
I don't disagree. I think if all 3 of those guys are starting, that means one of CJ McCollum, DeJounte Murray, or Zion goes to the bench. Yeah,
that's they got to make a trade, is what I'm saying. And I think Ingram is the odd man out. I think his stock is the highest. I think of the 3, and I think he's like RJ Barrett, like in the same way that there are players like Dylan Brooks that I think are just winners, and there's like 5 of them. I think there are players like Ingram Kuzma that I just think would rather be stars on bad teams than third players on winning teams. Maybe that's incorrect. That's just kind of like a hunch I have. So I would trade Ingram. Let's do one more before Reuben leaves. Let's do the Knicks and OKC. I'll start by giving them an A. I think both an A. I think the Hartenstein and Caruso are incredible pickups. Maybe overpay, but it still works for the roster you have, and they're just winning players and winning cultures. And I think OKC can compete for a championship. I mean, they got a really nice squad, and I love the Bridges pickup. I think Knicks have one of the best defensive teams in the league right now with Bridges and OKC. And then you add Hart, you add Mitch. I think it's great. I love the Kolek pickup. Six first round picks is a lot, but I think Bridges is that good of a fit. I think he's also going to take a salary cut, so they're all going to be able to stay together. We'll see what happens with Randall. I think you run it until the All-Star break and see where it goes from there. But Reuben, how about you?
Who's the odd man out? It's right. You got Brunson.
DiVincenzo goes to the bench.
And Hart is on the bench too.
Hart is on the bench, though. I would love to see OG at the 5 in for 24 minutes a game, or at least try it. Lineups are moving to more switchability. OG guarded and he can guard centers. And with Bridges and you got DiVincenzo or Hart, that's just a great lineup. So I'd love to see more. And we only have one center right now, or one great center.
I thought you like Achua, right? You want to keep Achua.
I do like Achua, but he's not Mitch or Isaiah. He's not elite center. He's more power forward. But I like Achua. I mean, I like Achua. But that said, I'd still like OG playing the center and let's put – because otherwise there's not enough minutes for – I would love Hart and DiVincenzo to get these 25 minutes a game.
Yeah, you could put Randall at center too, right? I mean, he's bigger than OG.
Yeah, but he doesn't guard like OG does. But yeah.
I would give – I laughed only because you mentioned Tyler Kolek, who I like, but I thought we were talking about 13th men in Summer League. Although I think he's good. I like his game. I would give the Knicks an A- because I'm petty. No, A+. They had an amazing offseason. They're going to be a team to be reckoned with. They're going to be awesome. Awesome. This is the best Knicks team I've seen in 30 years. Thunder – not much to say. I love both pickups. I think they're going to be an amazing team. All these young dudes, similar to the Pacers, I think are going to get a lot better again. I think Chet Holmgren is he's going to be an all-star. And I think both of these are serious title contenders.
Dan, what about you? And we'll wrap on this one.
Yeah, I think you have to give them both A+. I mean,
I'll go one more.
Before the foresight that the organization showed with the way that they attack this, trying to be is maximize. I think the only thing you could maybe question about the Knicks again is, obviously they re-signed Thibodeau, so that eliminates the question of whether he's the right coach. And again, just, how are you going to keep everybody happy? Is Randall going to accept just an auxiliary slash, every 3-night star type of role? And then same way with Oklahoma City, Hardenstein, the only question you can ask is, will they be playing too many different types of lineups now? Like, is your consistent plug and play with your second unit more important, or is it more important for you to be able to do unique things with your second unit? Oklahoma City will also have a little bit of the hierarchy alpha battles, I would imagine, but you cannot blame any of that or worry about. And none of that is really the front office's issue. And again, they both shocked. I don't want to say shocked us, but they both found ways to really know exactly what they were doing and use every capacity they had to make sure that they weren't the same team coming back and that they were ready for the teams in their conference.
Yeah. Reuben, we got one more.
How many more teams we got?
We've got like 12 more teams. So
okay, one more.
Yeah. So Orlando, or you could pick any other teams. You want to do Portland? You want to do Sac Kings?
No. Let's go along the.
Portland's a whole podcast.
Yeah. Portland, we got to save for the next one. Yeah. My heart's too big. Magic are the next team. So it's Magic and who?
Magic and Sixers.
He's got a thing at his house for KCP. It's like a little statue.
I love KCP. Okay, Magic first. I'm going to give them an A. I think the KCP pickup is an amazing pickup, and they didn't act irrationally. They didn't bat for the swing for the fences. They kept pretty much everyone else. I think all these dudes similarly are super young, are going to get way better. I really like Jalen Suggs. I think he's an incredible player. Paolo, bring him back. Franz, he shot terribly in the playoffs. Bring him back. They gave him the max. I'm totally cool with it. I think he's a stud. I love Jonathan Isaac. I think he's the man. I think this team also, I think they're right there with the Pacers, right after that first kind of initial East hierarchy, Celtics, Sixers, Knicks. This is a team I do not want to play on any day. And really where they lacked was shooting, and they addressed it, I think, in the best possible way. I think the KCP pickup is a significantly better one than the Clay signing. So I'm excited to see this team next year, and I think they're going to be awesome. And then Sixers, they get the best grade. Is there an A++? I mean, it's self-explanatory. I love every single player they picked up, and they got players in the cheap. The Caleb Martin pickup was amazing. Coup de grace. The Eric Gordon signing was really good. I love this rookie, Jared McCain. I think he's going to be a serious player like this year, and I'm pumped to watch him play.
Dan, what's your take?
Yeah, I mean, same way. Don't think you can go lower than A. Orlando gets a little bit better defensively. They return everybody. Hopefully, the Wagner brothers can come back from the Olympics and be fresh. That would be the only question. And does Paulo to go into generational talent mode, or just happy being a fringe all-star mode? But I think, again, the front office did everything that they could possibly do to not upset the apple cart and give them a chance. If they have the stars start aligning in April, they're going to be a very tough out. 76ers, yeah, I mean, A++. They may, now that I think about it, it might just be the same way. It might be that they might be the Hard Knocks team. I love bringing in the vets and the savage TikToker rookies and Embiid. Same way. Just I feel like even if Embiid only plays 22 games, like you're always going to be looking like, okay, where's Philadelphia playing? Are they on TV tonight? And they'll be must-watch TV on the nights that they are. So Daryl Morey, that was his job. They brought him in to build the brand and show up to every fight, and they did that. And and that's what makes this fun. Like, we're giving all these people, we just gave out like 4 A's in a row, so we're excited about next year. That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
It really is. What do you think, Eric?
I'll be contrarian and give the Magic a B. I think Franz and the Max. I'm not sure he really. I think Paolo has the potential to be a top 10 player. I don't know about Franz. That said, OG Anunoby just got the Max. That said, I'm also an OG Anunoby, dick rider basically.
Do you think he's better than Franz?
I think if I'm the Knicks, I'd rather have OG than Franz. But Franz is a better offensive player for sure. But I don't know. I don't see the Magic really, like, unless Paolo steps up. I don't see them stepping into the top 3 or even beating the Bucks. I think Isaac just got a big salary. Like, he's good. I don't know if he's that good. Like, it seems like they overpaid for some guys. Now maybe these guys step into their roles. And maybe Franz becomes a star, not just a fringe star. And KCP is solid, but I still don't quite see it. I think the Magic are another team that like the Mavericks or the Pacers has a lot of talent, a lot of young talent, and would love to see them consolidate a bit more. Maybe some more veteran leadership. Maybe KCP is that person, but there's something about their roster that doesn't quite. They have like 3 good centers, right? They have like Wendell Carter,
Good.
Who's the guy Isaac. The Bizate or whatever, Goga Bizate,
yeah.
and Mo Wagner. Like, they're just a really deep team, and I'd like to see them consolidate a bit. I feel like they have a chance to make it into the top 3 if they do some smart trade, because it's like OKC. Their best players are cheap. Well, I guess Franz is no longer cheap, but Paolo's cheap, right? And so they had some salary to play with. And I feel like they've spread their roster a bit too thin, or a bit too deep, and not like consolidated enough. So, anyways, I think there'll be a 5 seed. I think the Philly is an A. I was texting with Daryl Morey and congratulating him, and he was being very responsive until I then suggested that he trade Embiid for Randall and Mitch and 3 first-round picks, and then he stopped answering. So maybe that's unlikely, but I think
He's working the phones.
Yeah, I think Philly has a chance to contend this year, and I think that's what you had to do. I don't know how many more years they have to contend, so maybe 1 to 3. So
And beats 30. I agree. You got to go for it.
Yeah. With that, I want to be mindful. We got to run. This has been a great episode. We'll do another one, finish the rest of the teams. We'll get into the TV deal, and then we'll also speculate and give our predictions as to the 1 through 8 Eastern Western Conference of next year, guys.
Okay, let's try to do before the Olympics, because I want to do some Olympic talk too.
Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah, we'll do that. But next, USA almost
Olympics starts Saturday, so we got to turn it around quick.
Perfect.
Let's get to work.
All right, later, guys. Talk soon.
All right, see you. Have a great week.
Much love, guys. Appreciate you.